And welcome to the No Assembly Required podcast, a podcast where we talk about nothing. And now here's your duo of hosts, starting with Romina, the VP of Cool, beaming in from the Star Trek Enterprise, and of course your Dark Lord of the Interwebs, Roberto Blake, beaming in from his Dark Leia. Welcome to the No Assembly Required podcast, filmed in front of a live YouTube audience. Please like, subscribe, and review. Do all the things.
Wow. What are you sipping on?
Water.
Oh. You made it look so much more interesting.
Yeah, no, it's very unexciting, boring water in a Starbucks cup. Yeah. Well, I gotta be doing all the healthy things. I'm trying to lose those last 10 COVID pounds.
Oof. What's your process for that? What are you doing?
Lifting weights. I have a treadmill under my desk that's optional. Right now it's propped up so that it's not interfering with my desk, but since this is a standing desk, I can treadmill. So I have a treadmill desk, walks in my neighborhood. I walked the golf course today, for example. Trying to only eat like as much like actual whole foods as possible. And I'm trying to eat specifically more protein, vegetables, and fruits. And that's like what I'm trying to do. And trying to not eat carbs or sugar. It's very difficult.
Yeah.
It's very difficult.
Do you have a sweet tooth? Or you got a carb tooth?
For certain things. I like baked goods. I very much enjoyed baked goods. I like pastries. I like Danishes. I like, donut holes. I grew up with all these things, these staples, so I'm basically trying to find ways to boost my mental health, eliminate all comfort eating. Also, I tried to do intermittent fasting. And so, yeah, I'm doing those things. It's not really that pleasant.
Are you
I've been tempted to try the carnivore diet thing too.
Oh yeah.
Just
I think it helps
steak all the damn time.
I think that it helps to not limit. I mean, I don't know. I have pretty good self-control. I've never tried to lose weight, so I say that as a disclaimer.
Sure.
Because I'm not in a position to give any kind of advice, but I feel like for me, like my own goals are to be healthier and then also to consume less sugar and less carbs, like overall, right?
Look, if I had a way, if I had a very
wait, hold on.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
So what I advise is like without limiting myself or what I put on my plate, I start off with the protein. So whatever it is that's on my plate. So let's say there's like chicken and rice. Like I start off with the chicken, and then after I'm done with the chicken, then I go to the rice. By the time I get to the rice, I'm probably already mostly full, kind of thing, right? And if you go around, same thing, beans, vegetables, whatever's on the plate, you just go down that hierarchy, and that way once you get to the carbs or the dessert, you're already so full that there's really not enough space for you to overeat in those other areas.
Yeah. I think that with me, it didn't become an overeating so much as the pandemic did this to everybody. You're out less, you're less physical, less stagnant. There's depression, so there was at least some comfort eating. Because again, I'm not out of shape. I just don't like my side angle. I just don't like my side angle. I don't like the fact that I have any belly fat because I used to be a cross-country runner, but I'm also literally turning 39 this year. I'm almost 40, so it's very vain on my part. But I just want a flat stomach back. And I'm also just trying to increase muscle too. My arm size is fine. Like I'm actually like you've seen me in person because we actually literally hung out. So it's like that I'm a fairly in shape like guy and that my clothes fit mostly fine. I just don't like the fact that I had to go up a pant size. And I don't like having any belly fat at all, honestly. Even though it's not. Like I'm almost 40. Of course, my metabolism slowed down. So it is what it is.
Do you think that we'll have AI that'll help with that in the future?
Probably not, because I think like for that problem, we have the things aside from like diet pills and more surgeries. Look, if I get really vain, I literally just get what they call ab etching, which is just a less invasive liposuction. And just because if I get like frustrated enough, I'll literally just be effing vain about it, right? But like going into the AI thing, because that's what I really want to talk about, aside from just catching up, like have you seen this AI generated PewDiePie video?
No. What's that?
A creator, you can go to his channel, Ryan Big Nose. He did this AI generated PewDiePie a couple of weeks ago, actually 6 months ago, and he did another recent one a couple of days ago, and PewDiePie reacted to it recently. Both these videos, he's doing deep fakes and AI animation stuff in general, but these two PewDiePie videos are only a minute long, and between them they almost have 1 million views between just two videos, and they're not YouTube shorts, but they're only like about a minute long. So it's like, but it really is astoundingly good how close this is, both in terms of looks and voice, to where if no one knew any better, they would swear it's PewDiePie, which is really scary to think about.
What's the name of it again?
Go to Ryan Big Nose. Ryan Big Nose 2. And you'll see on YouTube, he only has 14 videos, 2,000 subs. He's probably monetized. He's probably got the watch time now. But yeah, he did AI generated PewDiePie. It's really good. If you want, I can even send it to you on your phone real quick.
Okay.
I'll just create a link real quick. This is ridiculously good.
Oh, I see. AI generated. I see it.
Yeah, no, it's ridiculously good. I'll send it to our group too. It's ridiculously good. Remember how remember how much I joked about deep faking?
Yeah.
Myself,
right.
Deep faking myself.
Right.
This is
because you said you said eventually that you would just deep fake yourself so that you could continue your own creating content even without needing to create content.
Exactly.
Yourself.
Exactly.
Oh, there's a second one. Okay. Oh my gosh. So it even does the voice, which is wild.
See?
So this video,
because there's so much footage of PewDiePie on the internet that you can train an AI to get his voice right.
Yeah. I mean, it's clearly not, you can tell, but it's
just barely. If you were not a deep PewDiePie consumer,
or if you just didn't know much about technology in general and just believe everything you see on the internet too. I feel like this is something that my mom would probably see it, right?
And believe it.
And believe that this is PewDiePie.
I think the average person would. And I think in a YouTube short, someone would believe it. And I think someone that's a reporter for the mainstream media would believe it. And the thing is, I think that this is also literally, again, this is an amateur attempt. If someone really wanted to go ham, they could make it believable. This guy is clearly doing this for entertainment purposes. He's doing it for entertainment, and he's exploring it, and he's not claiming to be a master of any of this. He's an amateur. And this is only his 14th YouTube video. So can you imagine if somebody does hundreds of videos where they've mastered deep fakery and they've polished and refined it and they really want to, and imagine if it was somebody who had a passing resemblance to Felix, or at least the height and the complexion, then they could they could pull this off.
Right. It would make it a little bit easier. I mean, it's kind of like the Tom Cruise TikToker. You could deep fake because you barely have to, because he already looks like it. Right. And he does impressions too. So he has the mannerisms and kind of the voice intonation and stuff. So I think that finding someone like that, someone who's already doing impersonations of PewDiePie.
I think you could get from me to Samuel L. Jackson.
Well, I don't know because I haven't seen your Samuel L. Jackson.
You haven't seen me do it, like it's yeah, and I'd have to like polish that. I'd have to try a little bit more because I can do Samuel L. Jackson from certain films. It depends on the film.
Right. Yeah.
Like I could probably pull off Julius from Pulp Fiction. The path of the righteous man. I could probably do it if I like listen to it again and I try. But I could probably do that whole I could probably do that whole bit at least and pull that off or some variation thereof. And then in terms of I don't have because like my facial structure is close enough to a young Samuel L. Jackson to pull off that version of Samuel L. Jackson when he's young with some deep fakery, and we have the same complexion. Right. So you could get pretty close. Royale with cheese. It's a Royale with cheese. Can you believe that? Royale with cheese. Yeah. So AI, so Amazon's having some issues with this AI stuff. Have you heard about the influx of like AI generated books?
No. I have heard of AI tools. This has been something that has been talked about within the writer community for the past couple years, but I haven't seen anything myself.
Amazon's been flooded with self-published books that have been poorly written, that have been generated by AI, so that people could try to get easy money on the self-publishing because they just look up Amazon KDP, look up how much people can make, and then they just try to generate books out of thin air. Where like, poor Roberto sits here and just like writes 1,000 damn words a day.
Poor Roberto.
Yeah, I sit here and I just write 1,000 damn words a day and like try to grind my way through my book.
All right. So what does that mean? I feel like for creators, like what?
I honestly, here's the thing. I think that ChatGPT and tools like it can write really good academic content because I am using it to help me with course creation. Because I'll tell you how I'm using it. I'm using it to help me with writing outlines, number one, for my online courses that I'm building and development, and it's really good at that. The other thing I'm using it is to write the first draft of sales copy and email sequences. So it's actually really good for that. Because again, sales copy and email sequences aren't really about your creativity, to be honest with you. And the thing is, but I'm also good at prompt engineering, which means unlike a bunch of these randos, they're just copy and pasting whatever ChatGPT comes up. One, I actually edit anything that I generate from AI. I edit it myself, number one. Number two, though, when I engineer a prompt, I'm smart enough to tell it things like use this tone, use this grade of reading level. Hey, use persuasive speech, use authoritative speech, use declarative speech. Because I actually am good at writing and I also understand English. And I took creative writing classes and courses in college and I actually enjoyed it. And I actually understand some level of nuance to get a very non-generic version of an output from my prompt. I also am specific about telling it, include these details, make sure to highlight this, make sure to so I don't like the way I engineer a prompt isn't lazy. I write a 2-paragraph prompt anyway. So the output I get is much more humanized and much more sophisticated. By the way, because I've literally written hundreds of pieces of content on the internet and I'm all over the internet. And I have thousands of tweets on the internet and all this stuff for it to surface from before 2021 and actually knows who Roberto Blake is. It can write a bio and a summary explaining who Roberto Blake is so it can be aware of me. I tell it to write in the style and tone of Roberto Blake anyway. So the thing is, it is an approximation. It is an approximation of taking everything I've already ever done and then saying, what would Roberto do under these conditions? And then it gets a really close approximation. And then I still refine and edit it. So when I use it, I feel like I'm doing the more correct utilization of it. And I will say what it's good for me is I have to film content for my online courses that I'm releasing this year. But what I want to do is I went through I bought a bunch of online courses, right? Sometimes just to study the courses rather than the material in them, in terms of how the courses were made and designed from my competitors and friends, right? And what I noticed is no one has written material in their courses. It's all just videos because they're used to that from YouTube, you know? And there may be some digital downloads, they may not be. What I noticed is, but there's no written material. If you want to digest it by reading, or if you want specifics, or even to follow up on certain things they mentioned, or even links to things they mentioned, there's none of that in almost any of these video courses, even the $500 ones, even the best of the best courses, they have no supplemental written material. They're also not closed captioned either. So I decided when I make courses that I'm going to use the AI to help me, because number one, I can use the AI in Adobe. Adobe has so I don't have to pay for rev.com. Adobe has really damn accurate auto transcription software and can generate closed captions for you. They can burn it into the video if you want. It has spelling correct, autocorrect. You can go through and manually edit it, all these things, or you can use an SRT file, right? And so my courses are going to have closed captioning for the content, number one, so that actually makes them more accessible, and that's actually really better. And then instead of just taking that and then transcribing the stuff, I said, no, I don't want to just have a transcript for someone to read of the video. I want an actual lesson outline here that makes sense as what if I were to read this so that I can make a course work like a textbook? So the thing is, before I film everything, I'm using my outline and generating lessons, and then I'm going back and I'm tweaking these things, and I'm using ChatGPT to help scale this to make the process faster. And this makes it so that my courses have more inherent value. I'm also using it to generate text content. I have my assistant instructor and operations manager, Andy, go back and say, hey, take these things that I had for these frameworks that I generated in partnership with ChatGPT, and now she takes it and she takes graphics that I generated, that I created a unique aesthetic for in Midjourney, and then she uses her graphic design skills, Canva, plus what I wrote, and then she makes these great PDF presentations. So we're still doing half and half human work from this, and now we have supplemental PDFs that make all of my course material better. We have written content in the course as a post that makes it more valuable for people who like to read or who digest that way, or need bullet points or paragraphs to break up some of the information, retain it better. And then we'll still have my videos, and my videos will be AI assisted by having accurately auto-generated closed captions.
If we have AI creating content, and I use content as a huge umbrella here, but specifically I'm thinking back to what you said about all of those books being published on Amazon.
Yeah.
Is this something, because at some point, for right now, we do have those people who are not doing all of the work that you're doing after generating the AI content.
Yeah.
But there will come a time where that step will probably not even be necessary, where the AI is going to create content that is ready to be published. Does this?
I think we're still way away from that.
Oh yeah, but I'm talking. This is in the future, right?
Sure.
So are we looking at a landscape where essentially we're going to have AI creators?
Yes, it's already happening. And the thing is, when you start to popularize something like being a VTuber, for example, you're one step removed from it already, because the VTuber is the personality and the performance. When you get to a point to where AI can simulate a personality and a performance and do it well, and whereas when the language learning model has learned to sound natural and to anticipate behavior, or to at least do that within a persona, or if they literally can do it using a persona of a person that, say, is dead generations ago, but a new generation was never introduced to their content, now their personality can be repackaged and repurposed and not credited, but imagine this generation has never heard of, Gen Z doesn't know who the hell Andy Kaufman is. you and I know, of course, and everything.
Right.
Like that. One of my favorites with him is Taxi, obviously. But like this generation, they've never heard of Taxi. Gen Z has no idea who Mary Tyler Moore is. Gen Z has no idea who Dick Van Dyke is. Gen Z, who's still alive, by the way. Amazing for his age. Like this generation has no idea who Amos and Andy are. Like, you see what I'm saying? It's like these personas though, but there's so much content, so much footage of these personas that you could train an AI language model to duplicate their voice, mannerisms, behavior, speech pattern, the way they would do it. You could put all of that and then build an AI to control a VTuber or something like that, instead of just a deep fake, because it's like, okay, you don't need a deep fake. You could have it be a VTuber, and you could write a program to control the behaviors of the VTuber model, and you could just generate content by just using a script, and you could generate a script, throw the script to this VTuber, have a voice that you picked and a persona. Hey, this voice, but also this personality, behave as this person would be according to this script, dictate that, and you can manufacture content. It could take content farming to a whole nother level. Yeah.
I mean, you could essentially have a whole business that just generates content with AI.
You could like, all right, primary example. You could find a voice that you like.
Yep.
And then you could go to and use like you could source like the Harry Potter fan wikia, right?
Right.
For all the information about Harry Potter.
Yep.
You could use AI and you could generate all your thumbnails for YouTube using Midjourney. Yep. You could generate like hundreds of these thumbnails. You could customize them to an art style, because you could combine two art styles in Midjourney. You could literally have it combine one art style plus Disney, plus give it unique Harry Potter prompts, and then it will make something that no one's ever seen before, quite literally.
And create a template.
And then you have these templates, and then you have this great template system. You can even get it to do character design. And the thing is, people think you cannot duplicate, like, once you have something in Midjourney that like, oh, it'll always be a unique thing and you'll never be able to get that character again. Nope. You can have it generate a whole character design, then put that as the reference photo for it, and now you can perfectly generate new poses and things off of the same character and have it look alike. So again, it's just that people don't know prompt engineering, because there's like somebody who published a children's book, but they couldn't keep the thing consistent. But it's because they didn't know how to use Midjourney effectively. They were a rookie just doing this, and it was largely a thing they wanted to do for their kid, according to them, and an experiment. I'm not hating on that. I'm just saying it's like, if they had taken 20 more hours to master this, no one would even have known that it was done with AI if they had went that far. So like, you could have that. So, okay, the thumbnail part is taken out of the equation. Now what? Okay, you can hire someone on Fiverr to make you a VTuber rig. Okay, you got a VTuber rig. Great. Now that you have a VTuber rig, you could literally take the Harry Potter wikia, source that for your content, have scripts and things developed where basically it just goes into the lore of Harry Potter. Now you can have this AI character that is a VTuber, and you could use, it doesn't even have to be your voice anymore, because you could use something like Descript. You could train it with a voice that you like. Now you have a voice, and if you source, like, let's say 3 hours of content from one voice that you like, now this thing has that voice. Now it's the voice of whoever you like it to be. You have a VTuber rig model, and now you have the content being generated in terms of the script to write the voice with Descript to use the deep fake voice. You have endless content. You could be a daily content poster, and no one would be any the wiser. And that's if you want to take it so far as to do the VTuber rig versus just using stills from Midjourney and doing voiceover, because it's like, you don't, like, content creators who do lore videos, like my friend Geekdom 101.
Yep.
You don't have to be on camera. You don't have to do anything animated. You can be voiceover and just have a couple of different images fade in and out, or even one still image on the screen the entire time.
Yeah.
No one cares because they're there for the lore of the thing that you're doing. But you could really easily make content this way.
Yeah, and the great thing about it is that, I mean, you and I both know that YouTubers struggle with niching down. I have so many interests. I'm a complex human being. And so, of course, only making one type of video on their channel is super painful. And then the idea of making multiple channels is overwhelming. It's a lot of work. But if you're able to have these kinds of tools to lessen the workload, then having multiple channels to cover all of your interests is
you can churn through a video in an hour. You can churn through, and it'll be a quality video too.
Right.
In an hour.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, you never know. Like if the channel does grow and you're able to hire more people to do it for you, then maybe you can get on camera and expand that way too. You know, like the possibilities are endless. But you're able to expedite the growth of a channel with all of these tools.
If you're really good at the prompt engineering, I wouldn't say use it to write your whole YouTube script, but I would use it to write parts of your YouTube script. And you could break your YouTube script into sections. You could use it to write perfect hooks and intros, or at least the beginnings of it to get you started. There's smart ways to use it to generate your idea bank.
Yep.
There's ways to use it to develop your content strategy and develop your content buckets and get deeper into your topics. There's ways you can use it to augment your keyword research. I've been doing that. I have a whole methodology for using it for keyword research that other people don't do. And again, I think if someone ever just takes the time to learn and study for a couple hours in a week, you could learn prompt engineering and get to advanced level prompt engineering. And the thing is, because everyone just likes to use things. Like, it's like I told you, like how somebody spent like an entire month of their weekends just learning video editing without needing to make a video and publish a video, and they just focused on, I will master Adobe Premiere Pro, I will master Final Cut Pro, I will go through multiple tutorials, I will learn multiple techniques, and I will learn efficient video editing workflows and structures. I'll learn the menus, I'll learn what these things do, I'll learn why these things are done, I'll do these tutorials step by step. And if someone spent an entire month just learning the tool before they go, oh, I want to publish content now, the impatience, every video they make will be better than somebody who's learning as they publish. The prep work would be better. It's the same thing with using Midjourney or ChatGPT. It's that anyone who goes like 50 hours deep without needing to publish something will publish better things from it than anybody else, because they will have actually learned to use the tool. Which is what I'm doing, which is why it's not showing up in my public facing content as much.
Are you have you started doing your anonymous channels?
Oh, you mean my Faceless Star Wars channel? I've been doing the prep work for my Faceless Star Wars channel, because I've also am studying Matt Pat's channel launch strategy of like, here's the intro trailer to my channel, and here's the first 6 videos of the channel, and just launching all that all at once. And I'm also trying to time it close to another event in the Star Wars community, so that I can like benefit from that. Like when we're closer to the next Star Wars show coming out, not the next season of The Mandalorian, although I can benefit from that. But there's a new show that's going to come out. That's got to
be bigger.
The Acolyte.
Yep.
When the Acolyte comes out, that's going to be really good for me, because
you're going to be ready.
I'm going to be ready. It's dark side themed, so I'm going to be like ready, raring to go. Aesthetics around it. I'm going to be able to churn out episode reviews like on a dime. I'm going to be able to churn out episode reviews on a dime, just like bam, bam. And so I'm going to be able to like do that. Then I'll be able to do also retrospective reviews of every episode of Mandalorian, because it's still fresh and people still care. Stuff like that. I'll be able to do character stuff around this current Disney, Star Wars, and stuff like that. So what I'm going to do that's going to make my channel somewhat unique is there'll be a lot of lore videos that are the Legends and Expanded Universe lore videos.
Yeah.
But there'll be also reviews from the current stuff, because it's like, unlike most channels, it will probably have something. It won't matter what type of Star Wars fan you are. Because there's people who hate Disney Star Wars, there's people who love Lucas Star Wars, and there's people who love the expanded universe like Star Wars. And I think I'm more expanded universe than liking Disney or Lucas, to be honest with you, because I like stuff like the Old Republic.
Well,
and I like stuff
from
the video game, the books and the video game, the books and the video games. I like the stuff from the books and the video games infinitely more than I like it from Lucas's films, aside from the original trilogy, but I love the original trilogy, and I love the prequels. Right. I like aesthetic choices and some character choices for the sequel trilogy, which is very hard to say and tell people. Do I like the direction that they took the original characters in the sequels? No. I think everyone just gets hung up on that so much because of their childhood hero, this childhood hero, that. And I'm like, I'm not as sentimental as some people.
I have a question. Yeah. Did Matt release all the videos at the same time?
Same day, at least, yeah.
Right, but I meant, like, do you know if it was released at the same, like, literally time?
I'm going to verify that.
Yeah, because I was curious to know about that, because I know, so, like, with Lonely Girl, this is old
school internet lore.
But with Lonely Girl, they, for the finales, something that they did was they released a video every hour on the hour on one day. So I was just curious to know if Matt had released everything, like all 6 videos at the same exact time, or if he separated them out, within a few minutes or an hour, or what it was.
I'm going to try to verify that, actually.
Yeah, I was just curious about that.
I'm trying to verify that. I don't think it's that difficult to figure out the actual published date down to the hour and then determine that. I think it's something I could figure out in like 10 minutes of trying to determine that.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Do you? So we've already seen music videos from Lorne and also from Linkin Park that are AI generated, or rather they're created with AI artwork is more accurate.
AI animation is the thing I'm probably the most excited about, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, I feel like, I've seen like a number of Instagram accounts. I don't remember the name of the handle, but I did see one specifically that does very interesting animated short videos on Instagram, and they're all using AI generated artwork.
Oh, you gotta send that to me sometime.
Yeah, I have to find it again. But there is that one artist who, I don't know how to pronounce the name, but they did the music video, or were a part of making the music video for Lorne and also for Linkin Park. And so it seems like they're creating this kind of like business, right? Or that's the work that they do.
And an aesthetic,
right, of like, hey, I make cool music videos out of AI art,
and it's trendy right now, and there's novelty to it,
right? Especially if you're good at it, like this guy.
Yes.
Where do you feel like there's room for making a whole film, like an actual narrative film using AI?
Yes, I think the trick will be if nobody knows until it's revealed that that's the case, because I think that then that's the trick, is when nobody can notice. That's the better story. The better story is when nobody even knows, because the thing is, I can convince, like, the thing is, there's so much subtlety if you are good at prompt generation, to where I've been able to convince people and trick people to where they don't know the difference between when I've hired someone on Fiverr versus when I've used an AI. Some people can when it's obvious enough, but there are things I can do to where it's not obvious enough. There are people who are so like adamant on their anti-AI stuff that I go, this is actually from, and then I'll screenshot them to prove, this is actually from an artist on Fiverr, and then they go, oh damn, well I'm sorry, or I did like, and it's like, no, it's like, but I was like, but I'm like, but then I hit them up on well, you proved my point. In your zealotry, you can't even tell the difference, and you don't understand that that's the point, is that you need to approach this less from your feelings and more from an objectivist standpoint and a futurist standpoint of understanding that, like, if people can't tell the difference, if you're someone defending a point and position and you can't even know when to attack a human versus a machine, then you're missing the entire point of why consumerism is going to be the ultimate driver of this thing, because the consumer doesn't really feel differently if they don't know any better. And if you can argue for disclosure and stuff all you want, but the thing is, it will get to a point to where a consumer will be neutral and blind to it. Because if you as an artist couldn't even tell the difference between human generated and AI generated work, and you attacked human generated work thinking it was AI generated work, if you're already at that point to where you don't even know when to attack the enemy, if you can't even recognize the enemy, the battle's already lost. So you need to accept the truth, accept the reality, accept that the future is here. You can't even tell the difference. If you can't even tell the difference, and I showed you proof that it was, oh, here's the person I hired on Fiverr. If you can't even tell, then the consumer can't tell, because you're an artist. And if you can't tell, the consumer can't tell. And if the consumer can't tell, why should they care? And by the way, there's no such animal as ethical consumption. People are just lying to themselves. It's code. There's no such thing. There's no such thing. It's like, if you if you are obsessed with being an ethical consumer and everything like that, it's like, I hate to break it to you and everything like that. The only way you can be ethical is to launch yourself into the freaking sun. I had to use launch yourself into the sun because the only thing physically people can't do, so I can't be accused of anything. But like, you get what I'm saying? Like, you can't, like, it's ridiculous because you can't sit there and cry about ethical consumption while you tweet from your iPhone. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And they'll cope all the time with the like, but we live in a society, and they'll do the whole we live in a society meme. And it's freaking stupid. It's freaking stupid. Well, you sit there and pretend I can't criticize a system that I partake in because I have to exist. It's like, no, I'm saying that if you're sitting there benefiting from a system at scale in all these subtle, invisible ways to you, that you have so much privilege that it's so invisible to you, that you don't see your own it's so invisible to you that you're blinded in your hypocrisy, you're blinded in your arrogance, that it's worth calling you out on and say, go touch grass, shut the hell up, get over yourself, because there's real freaking problems in the world, and this ain't it, my homie. And there's real problems in the world, and this ain't it, my homie. And the thing is, so no, like, people are not gonna like go, oh, I'm gonna consume from a real artist and not a robot. No, people will decide what they like and they'll consume it, and they won't care about where it comes from. And when they do say they care about where it comes from, they're just lying to themselves, if not you.
It's like the premise for The Good Place, where they eventually reveal that basically nobody can get into the good place because of the way that life is so complex, and there's just no way. Yeah, it's impossible. Like, even if you're going into some sustainable farm somewhere, or you're doing something where you think that you're solving some really large global problem, there's actually,
you're so much of a cog in the machine that you actually are not doing any more net good than you were if you were doing the other thing.
Yeah.
Because now you're creating, by trying to say I'm doing net good here, well, actually you're doing a net negative here that eliminates it.
Yeah, the balance is off.
You're no better off. You're no better. That's my point. You're no better off. And people say, oh, well, that's very black pill or nihilistic of you. You're saying don't try. And I'm like, no, realistically, you can try to do as much good as you want. You just have to realistically realize that there's no way to be completely holy, and there's no way to be completely ethical, and there's no way to ethically consume. It's just not possible. Because, like, again, even when you think, oh, I'm not going to eat meat and I'm not going to slaughter animals, it's like, well, when, like, it's just like what they said in Yellowstone. It's like, no, you're just moving the goalpost on which animals are too cute to kill for you to feed yourself. Because when you decide you want your quinoa and your soybeans, the entire land has to be carved up and everything, displace all these animals, these squirrels, every worm, every rabbit, and everything all the bugs, all the worms. So you're just deciding how cute an animal has to be before you're willing to kill it for your sustenance. And that's a good point. It's a good point. We lie to ourselves with our holier than thou versions of, well, by doing this, I'm more ethical. Doing that, I'm doing more good or positive for this or the environment. Nonsense. AI will be the same thing. Because again, I mean,
it all just comes down to the self and how you feel about yourself. Really, that's why you're doing it.
It's the lies we tell ourselves. The lies we tell ourselves are the only reason we can be sane. Because all of our technology, even without AI, look, I'm not saying nothing about the virus or nothing, but I'm saying all these wonderful medical benefits that you have when you go ahead and you take a shot or you do this and everything like that came off the back of human experimentation, came off the back of suffering of many people, came off of some downright evil and racist stuff. You're benefiting from atrocity every day. Even if you're a minority, you wake up every day and benefit from atrocity just the same as anybody else that doesn't look like you. So it's really hypocritical to cry about it.
And we're not saying to not cry it. Because you can
acknowledge it. You can
try
if you want to.
You can try, but you do have to accept the fact that there is no absolute. You won't get to that point because it just doesn't exist. Life is way too complicated.
It's way too nuanced. Look, if you want to do green energy, save the environment, it's like, well, great. How do you feel about oppression? How do you feel about slavery? Because whenever you want to go ahead and get your solar panels, all that cobalt and all those other materials, it's slave wages in the Congo. It's people digging it out of the ground with their hands. It's and no matter what they lie and tell you.
I'm just laughing because you just said it was just so specific. It was great.
Well, it's like it's an example and everything.
Yeah, no. It's great. You're just like, you're
when you go and you every time I love my Apple products too. I'm just not naive and say like, look, I love my Apple products. It's the efficiency that helps me help creators and everything like that. But it's like, do I think that it net balances out the fact that it's probably produced by what equates to sweatshop labor or even forced labor camps in China under the CCP? Probably not. But the thing is, all right. Do I think about it every time I pick up my phone? No, because you can't function and live and exist if you do. Mm-hmm. So I understand I understand that if I'd have to be mentally ill and deranged to try to live my life through the lens of being perfectly ethical.
Look, I'll tell you what.
I would launch myself into the sun and realize it's the most ethical thing I could do.
Even when monks are walking around their temple barefoot, some ants are dying. Some ants are being stepped on. And that's just the truth. Even monks are killers.
And they know it too, but see, they know it. They even know that they know it.
Right, they know it, and they are aware of the fact that every time that they step, something is being crushed, and that's just the way of life.
Exactly. So again, I don't think AI is any more unethical than anything else. Mm-hmm. I think that it's just people saying, oh, well, this affects me. Because again, AI artists don't care about the impact to AI, right? Like AI artists only care about like Lenza and Midjourney and DALL-E. They don't care about ChatGPT. They don't care about writers. They only care about the thing that they in theory are afraid might take money out of their mouth. And it's the same thing for the writing community. The writing community doesn't give a crap about Midjourney. Like they don't care about AI video. They don't care about deepfake. Like none of these people that are concerned about the ethics of AI artwork care about deepfakes and care about impersonation. Not usually. They never talk about it. It's about, oh, this is unethical because it might hurt me. That's all it is.
Did you hear about the one girl the Twitch streamer? I think she was a Twitch streamer. This happened very recently, where she got deepfaked, like
into adult videos.
Yeah.
And that the big controversy is really that a friend in her inner circle was watching it. It's multiple female streamers actually, and I mean, I know some of the specifics. I don't have to name them if we don't want to draw attention to, because sometimes when you talk about something, it draws attention to it. So I don't mind not naming names here, but I know exactly what the situation you're talking about. Yeah. See, that's one of these bad ethical things with regard to impersonation. Because remember, I've been screaming the alarm about deepfakes for like 5 years now. About the ethical implications when it comes to impersonation, because that creates legal problems. norms, the legality. And I talked about the legality. I talked about the fact, remember I was telling you like 3 years ago that what in my mind that someone could deep fake evidence and like a geriatric, like 75-year-old judge won't know the difference.
Yeah.
And won't question forensics or anything like that. And that like we're going to need an entire new branch of forensics developed around deep fakes and AI technology because of the fact you can manufacture like evidence and things like that, or the fact you can manufacture an alibi. Imagine manufacturing an alibi by having an AI live chat, interact, and even text back your audience, and it seems like it would be you. And it's like, well, he can't be faking this live stream because he's responding to the actual questions in the chat, typing in and replying to the chat. So it's like you could set yourself up where you have this alibi where you commit a crime and you have an alibi because you were live streaming to an audience and responding to them and no one's the wiser.
Yeah.
Like that's the insanity that I foresee as a problem with this kind of thing in the future. Because it's not that I have no ethical or moral concerns or considerations of AI. It's that I'm more concerned about less taking work away from people or hurting people's feelings or them having to compete in the free market. And I'm more concerned with the legal implications of impersonation, IP theft, like leveraging, you know, these
like actual
streamers.
crime.
These female streamers, putting their like faces and
Images.
voice or body and on these different bodies and images on these different bodies, and then having it do these, you know, sexual acts or dubbing it over these sexual acts is damaging to not only their mental health, but it's damaging to their brand, their personality, and their image.
Right.
And that
also, this is non-consensual because they didn't agree for their image to be used like that.
Correct. So it's not consensual. It's intellectual property theft. It's reputational damage. And it's misrepresentation. So you could actually, from my perspective, have a defamation suit for it. And I'm going to start talking to a lot more lawyers about the implications of, because I'm less concerned with purely copyright and trademark, but a situation like that where you deep fake somebody onto, I think that that's defamatory. I don't think you can argue that, oh, this is for personal and especially if you monetize it. I think that it's intellectual property theft. It's defamatory. And I think that you could make an argument to some extent for slander in addition to the fact that they would get the right to claim all the monetization on it. And it was, again, it's non-consensual. And so imagine if like a brand deep faked you and ran an ad as an endorsement. Yeah. Oh, you'd be able to sue the hell out of them. So I think this is the same thing. And this is also why I push so aggressively. I'm like, it's anonymous on the internet. As far as I'm concerned, it should be over because of crap like this. I'm sorry that there's some people that have their legitimate reasons and concerns, but I'm like, no, the internet's too powerful. Technology is too powerful. It's too much of a Pandora's box for there not to be accountability. I'm sorry. There should be no more anonymity on the internet as far as I'm concerned, because it's just too damn powerful.
It's too easy.
There was a time and a place for it, and it's over now. Yeah. And I'm like, okay, there's things you can't do in your country if that's the case and everything like that. Well, I hate to break it to you. Vote in new people or overthrow your country or leave your country.
Yeah, I was just going to bring up the ads thing because in the PewDiePie deepfake video that you mentioned, when I was scrubbing through it, there was a point where they mentioned VPN, a famous VPN company that is often mentioned in many YouTubers' sponsored content. And because of that, because I saw that, I was thinking, wow, like with this kind of technology, anybody can use your face to advertise their own product or even just choose a product.
Fake a testimonial. You can now have video testimonials. See, this can help scammers a lot because now you can have video. It doesn't even have to be famous influencers. It can look like regular, normal people. Right. It could even be real people that exist on social media that aren't famous.
Yeah, just grab someone's public Facebook.
And now, all of a sudden, it looks like somebody who would be someone who bought this product and had nice things to say. And it's a video. No one will question a video and stuff like that. Amazon sellers could fake. And it's one thing to buy fake reviews. There's an entire business for deep fake reviews, I think, in the future. I hope this gave no one ideas. But there's and here's the thing. There's also the possibility of being able to defame somebody by having completely fake and artificial people that have fake negative testimonials, fake negative reviews, fake negative rumors and slander. You could make multiple fake AI-generated gossip channels to spin a rumor and make it look like it was confirmed.
Imagine a company trying to take down a competitor.
Yeah. Or slander a public figure that they don't like, or a political opponent.
Right. And if anonymity remains, then it makes it very difficult to
prosecute, to claim any damages and restitution that you need. It makes it harder for the enforcement of justice. So I think anonymity creates more injustice, and it hurts more people that could possibly ever hope to protect. And the thing is, anything that hurts people is going to hurt marginalized people worse. So you can't use marginalization as a defense for anonymity, when it's like marginalized people will be hurt the most by the weaponization of these things with no accountability. You want accountability, you don't do it as a half measure. Cancel culture isn't real accountability. Real accountability is bringing the full weight of the judicial and legal and legislative system to bear, and it's more powerful than anything else, and it has lasting standing repercussions, and it's a deterrent against bad behavior in a way that nothing else is. So I think you have to use that power. That's what we need. And I'm usually the anti-regulation guy, but I think that we need that. I think that we need codified systems to be able to identify AI usage. I think that anything generated by an AI, anything that's generated by an AI should have metadata that is impossible to obfuscate. So it should be non-obfuscatable metadata that is able to aid AI detection. Now, there'll be obviously people who you'll have to crack down, because there'll be people who try to make open source tools, third-party tools, dark web tools that exist outside of that, but that's where the crackdowns come in. And I think that you have to not only go after anonymity, I think that there has to be a coordinated systemic attack on the dark web. I think that has to come from regulating hosting providers and domain registrars.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. And I'm the anti-regulation guy.
Yeah.
But even I recognize how dangerous all of this is at scale and implications, because I understand that like people can be falsely accused, slandered, locked up, defamed, and before the truth is revealed through digital forensics, the thing has gone around the world already. Yeah.
Creators and public figures are obviously a target, but
regular people who don't have a platform will have no defense, though.
Exactly. And I think it's important to talk about those people too, because the thing is that if you do end up on some kind of scam website, right, and you see someone is using an image that looks like PewDiePie, you're like, oh man, that looks like PewDiePie. Maybe this is a scam, right?
This is like legit, right?
Right.
Maybe you think
you think like, oh, maybe this is a scam, right? Because like you know who PewDiePie is. But if you see like a regular person and they're doing a testimonial, you're just like, oh, look, it's just like a regular person doing a testimonial.
It's eight regular people. It's like, okay, this seems legit. And
those people
all of a sudden,
maybe never find out that their image is being used because they're not famous.
Exactly.
Right? And you have no idea.
Exactly. And then with all these regular people who don't have platforms, they have no way to call the scams out. The scams can spin up another website, another name, another set of fake faces so damn fast and move on. It becomes a chop shop, and it becomes a shell game. It becomes a whack-a-mole. It becomes whack-a-mole so damn quickly because the tools are so powerful, and like someone with a decent computer and some hardware and everything like that, or someone with a chop shop can just go and it's whack-a-mole. You'll never figure it out. And so something has to be done at the technology layer in addition to the legal layer. The technology layer has to be handled responsibly, and then you have to start training consumers to be more skeptical. But even that's going to hurt people, because then people are going to be more hesitant or reluctant to do anything. But also the weaponization of this in regular everyday life. Look what happens when like regular people get caught having a bad day or a bad moment, and their life is ruined because they have a viral moment, right? On something at the job, bad customer service in the street. Okay, moment of weakness. If people have been able to weaponize that, and even take it out of context and make it look worse than it is when it's real. The fact that you can generatively make something fake about somebody as massive damage for a normal person. You realize how easy it is for somebody to decide that they want to like destroy their ex-girlfriend. They can fake revenge porn at that point. They can fake a fireable offense at that point. They could use voicemails from their ex-girlfriend, deep fake her voice, make it sound like she said something really bad or cursed her, like she said, talk behind her employer's back, somehow get that out to the right people, and then all of a sudden, before the truth can come out, the woman loses her job or something like that, or the guy loses his job or whatever. Like you could, like the implications of this are horrific for even regular people if somebody in their life is just tech savvy enough and petty. If they're tech savvy enough and petty, they can ruin someone's life. Yeah. That's dangerous. Yeah. Can't have anonymity in a world like that. You can have anonymity when it's just AOL, but not when it's this.
Yeah, with your 1,000 hours of internet.
Yeah, you've got mail.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting next 5 to 10 years as we see this evolve and develop, and the different regulations that will probably not be put into place fast enough.
Frankly, yeah. Like, I mean, that's the real issue with a lot of this. And it's the lack of understanding. And even if it is regulated, it doesn't mean it'll be regulated correctly.
The technology is expanding and growing faster than its consumption, its utilization, and its regulation. And
I agree.
All of those things.
I agree. Which is why I think
a very dangerous mix.
That's why I'm just like, the first thing that has to happen, in my opinion, is every social media company and every online entity has to be told, hey, by legal mandate, you have to know who your customer is. And then they're like, okay, we got to have your ID. We got to and that's that. No more anonymity, not for public platforms, not for distribution platforms, not for user-generated content platforms. I'm sorry. No. Just like for financial, you're not allowed to have anonymity in finance. I don't think you should have anonymity in publishing. I don't think you should have anonymity in publishing, and I don't think you should have anonymity in finance. I mean, and it makes sense. It's too powerful. And the thing is, in the real world, you can't really have free speech anonymously in the real world. You have to stand accountable for the things you say in the real world in the light of day. You cannot say them, and you cannot hide your identity. You can't be a vigilante in the real world hiding behind the vet mask. You shouldn't be allowed to run around on the internet doing it either, in my humble opinion, or not so humble opinion.
Yeah. I mean, there's positives and negatives to all of this. I feel like there's a lot of potential when it comes to AI, and it is exciting, and it's really cool to see creators and other people who are using AI, such as yourself, with your course creation. I've used AI a couple of times for my own videos, doing research, because I'm doing travel related videos. It helps to do research, and just kind of really find out the information that I need for the attractions that I want to feature.
Specific information as quickly as possible.
And then that cuts down the amount of time that I take to create the videos, because all I do is I just verify that the information is correct, since I'm putting my face out there and claiming certain things as being like factual. And then just repurposing it to sound like me.
I think with
writing
that,
it in my own voice.
I think with that, in addition to the recession and the inflation, you're going to see even more job cuts, because as this stuff is normalized, it's going to take over internal systems. Like with everything that this stuff can do, Romina, I don't have to hire as many people to get as big as I thought I did.
Right.
Like, I looked at friends, and I looked at their teams, and I looked at their payroll, and I realized that I can get pretty close as these tools get better if I'm patient. If I'm patient, like, they'll get to a point to where there'll be an AI version of like being able to tell something how to edit my videos in Adobe possibly, and it'll be able to do them.
Yeah, I mean, we're probably going to get to a point where you can have a rough cut of a video edited for you.
Exactly.
And even if you have, like, in the same way
by repurposing, even
in the same way that you had to study prompts, there can be prompts that are visual and auditory prompts, so that when you are filming your video, if there's a take that you like, you can just say it right after you say the thing.
It'll know how to trigger it,
and it will respond to that. So you can just be like, no, cut that, right? And then that's it. The AI will know what to cut out.
Or even literally telling it, like, for this scene, insert this graphic or this or that. Like, being able to use and
if you have something like the Adobe Suite, right, which comes with a bunch of things like their stock library and all of that stuff. Imagine if you were to give a prompt like that while you're filming, and then it just automatically pulls from the library a stock image and just does a Ken's burn effect. Like, you're already done.
Imagine that it can, like, the AI would be sophisticated enough to identify the mood and tone of the video, and then give me the best 8 selections of audio backtracks for it, and then I don't even have to hunt. Like, we get to this point in the workflow to where it becomes that powerful, that valuable, that sophisticated, that like, and then you literally, all you have to do is perform, and it's like you don't need a staff and a team to do a lot of these things. Because, like, again, ChatGPT is a better researcher than I could pay somebody full-time to be a researcher for me. And that's a lot of what it does.
And it's not just research. It's not just research. It's not just the facts, but it's also written in a way that can be consumed.
So now I have a researcher and staff writer that I don't have to pay. I don't have to now, if I want to really be able to get out 2 emails a week for my newsletter, which I really wanted to do. I can actually get a lot further on it and still write a lot of it myself, but not everything. And I can do that with ChatGPT. Schedule stuff well in advance, and I can get out 1 to 2 emails a week. I can even have something I've been working on, Romina, is making sure that I have an evergreen to where there's always an email from me every single month for the first year. So now I have a year-long evergreen newsletter now, to where every month, that way I don't create as many cold email subscribers. So now I have a method to do that. I can create an entire email sequence to re-engage cold email subscribers and really amp them up by making maybe some more aggressive subject lines that they will open, and then some really hard-hitting content that will reactivate them. And I can do these things faster at scale with ChatGPT, and it's at a fraction of the cost of bringing on an email staff writer to make my sequences, help me with my sales funnels and stuff like that. It can do that. In terms of, it'd be nice to get some tweaks done to my website or something like that. ChatGPT can code that stuff better and faster than me hiring somebody in some cases, because I actually know enough HTML and CSS and PHP and JavaScript, and I know how to engineer a prompt to tell it what to make and how to refine that code once it's made. So, like, I actually know what I'm doing. So, all of a sudden, I have less outsourcing to do and can get that thing done faster, instead of the time wasted in writing a damn ad to hire somebody, writing a job description, writing it. Like, the time I take to try to hire for that thing, it's done because of the automation. And that's just ChatGPT. Even with Midjourney, I can, maybe it can't be a YouTube thumbnail designer for my purposes, but it can help me create assets for my own internal template system. And it can damn sure also help me, like, I now can come up with like a bunch of different poses for men, male poses, and see what they would look like. And I already have the inspo for the photo shoot now. I can have that's how I should make my background look for this design, or like, I like that color palette. I can look, boom, boom, ideation.
Yeah, it's cutting our work down by 50% or more.
Because it's taking also ideation off the table and everything like that. I had it design logos, and it didn't make it to where I could use them right away. I took what it designed, and then I went and I got a bunch of my assets in Adobe Illustrator, and then I made it from like scratch but
Right,
I had a
But you had,
guide.
like,
I
a
had
layout, yeah.
this is what it should look like. I had this is what it should look like. So I've got a
Yeah,
It can do
storyboarding.
storyboarding. It can do so it can do design ideation. It can do conceptual artwork. It can do conceptual stuff for your photo shoots. It can go ahead and kind of give you all that inspo you need. It's like we're at this ridiculous, and the thing is, it's just starting. Once the damn thing is a video editor, once the thing's a video editor, once you get Midjourney to the point to where it can do stuff in print quality, when it can say, hey, for this much money a month, you realize if they said, hey, Roberto, for another $20 a month, we'll let you upscale all these things to print resolution, I'd be like, bet. Here's another $20. They can double their money. If they said $30 and double their money, I will double their money. It's like, give it to me in print quality. Absolutely. Oh, hey, Roberto, we got you this in print quality. Hey, Roberto, you can pay for a higher tier version that can actually do revisions to any of these things instead of just variations. It can do revisions, and the thing is, you can have it use the same face or model and stuff like that, but revise it, have it do the same. If they say, but hey, you want that and you want it in print quality, Roberto, you have to pay $90 a month. I'll be like, take my money.
Yeah.
And no one else is willing to pay $90 a month. So again, the market of like, oh, well, everyone will do it because it's like, no, because people don't like to pay money for things anyway. So it doesn't.
Yeah. And if we think about this, it's not science fiction. It's not even something that we don't even have to go that far to imagine, what we were doing with like the video editing. We have been using AI tools to cut out the middleman for years now. If we look at Canva, for example, and other tools where we can just remove the background with one button. I mean, we used to have to pay graphic designers and people to Photoshop our images and remove our backgrounds. And now we don't have to do that anymore. Now we literally have a button. We can do it with a button. I think the Android devices have it built into their photo app, and there's so many apps now where literally we don't need someone to edit our photos anymore. We can just press a button and the image is removed. Like the background image is removed.
There's like 10 different AI things in Adobe itself. I've been planning to try and make a video about this. Yeah. There's AI stuff already in Adobe, the closed captioning
100%.
stuff.
And now all that stuff is AI, and it's futile to be like, we don't like AI.
The text
all
tracking,
over the
text tracking, the green screen. What do you think that stuff is?
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, Canva has had like the background remover for years now.
Oh yeah.
And a bunch of other stuff too. And
it's Photoshop. Photoshop even has generative expressions of changing facial expressions.
Yeah. Remember how long it used to take to remove a background from a image?
Yep. Oh, there's this thing. I think it's called Luminar.
Yeah.
Luminar AI.
Yeah.
Oh my God, Luminar AI can do
some of the stuff.
much.
I mean, some of the stuff that it does, it makes you skinnier, it makes you bigger, it makes you
makes your eyes different,
bigger.
You
can add makeup to your face. Like it's this like crazy stuff where
my God.
Where I mean, literally, you can have a photo shoot, not hire a makeup artist, and put the makeup on after the fact.
Yeah, essentially. Like it's so sophisticated to where it can fix, like if your face was literally out of focus, it can freaking fix it. It's ridiculous. And
I mean, there's the AI for the, I think was it Ancestry or something, one of those websites where you could put in an old photo and it would enhance it, and it made it look like I put photos of my parents when they were younger.
Oh, nice.
And it made it look crisp,
it print quality again. And
it like refocused their face.
They're doing that also with colorizing stuff, and now they're actually taking old black and white TV shows and they're gonna re-syndicate them in color when they were filmed in black and white to begin with, all with AI.
Yeah, I wonder if they'll ever do that for Deep Space Nine.
They're doing it for I Love Lucy. They
because Deep Space Nine is quite awful, the quality that's out there, because they shot it on video. Like they did the restoration for the Next Generation, and if you watch the Next Generation, it looks like they shot it like today. It looks amazing. It's so crisp.
I think they'll do the restoration for Deep Space Nine,
and it's so horrible.
I think they'll do the restoration for Deep Space Nine.
They need to do it with AI, because it's
they will.
Of
course
the technology that they filmed with. It was just like
it wasn't there.
The data's just.
They'll do it for the original. I think they'll do it for the original Star Trek as well.
Well, they don't need to, because they did that because it was shot on film. So, but Deep Space Nine was shot on tape, and so because of that, the resolution that they have is not the same as.
Well, I think that they can redo the original, but do it for like higher HD.
They can do like 8K.
Like, well, that or like or again, just enhance it a little bit more, just to make it pop a little bit more and make it like a little bit more fluid. Not change the graphics or but again, just make it look like it was filmed today.
Yeah.
I like, because that is actually a good justification for historical like film, because it's easier to enhance the high quality of that today.
Yeah.
The problem is the physical shelf life of film deterioration, but now we actually could have a really good analog to digital through AI means now and everything like that, as long as we can get to a lot of this original stuff. And the thing is, doing that with old newsreels would actually be really good to preserve history.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Peter Jackson did a docu-series. I forgot what it was called, but it was it's actual footage from one of the wars. I haven't watched it yet, but it's like a restoration.
I saw that they were restoring World War II photos and videos.
And he did that for the Get Back, the docu-series about the Beatles. He also restored that as well, and it looks incredible. I mean, I'm betting that we're going to see a lot more re-releases of old film and footage that previously was just kind of and is now going to look spectacular.
There's going to be so much cool stuff that comes out of it. As much as I'm doom and gloom on some of this, I'm also very optimistic about a lot of the upsides, both artistically and practically. Because like I said, I think that one of the smartest things that I think I'm seeing is the potential future of all these great workflows for creative people. Because already with this, the thing that I keep fighting back against the traditional art community on is that, hey, making things is now accessible to a lot of people. And I even point out to them, it's like, you realize there are people who physically can't create and they're already disabled. Do you think they can afford to hire you or some other artist on whatever place and everything like that? No, this lets them overcome the physical limitations they have and express their imagination. And why wouldn't you want that for people? And the only reason is because you have a position to defend. Because if you just objectively looked at this with because again, none of these artists, if they had $10 million in the bank, would deprive people of what this does. And if they did, everyone would say, well, it's from an egocentric place because you have 10 million, you're not losing money. And that's the thing. I think of things, and when I want to justify or think of things, I'm like, how does this affect or handle, or am I invested in this if I know that I have like my FU money, I've got 10 million just sitting in the bank, 0 in debt, and I'm just chilling in the cut? Am I is there a reason for me to be invested in something? And the thing is, there are things to be invested in even at that a dollar amount, because then you're really objective at that dollar amount. You're just down to, oh, that's inherently wrong, or hey, my money can't solve that problem or protect me from that problem. And that's when in my mind, it's like when I go, what's my opinion of this if I'm rich? Because that's a more objective frame. I'm dead serious. If you're in a struggle, you have no real objectivity. If you're in a struggle or you don't have any resources to combat an issue, you don't have an objective view of that issue. If that issue deeply impacts and directly affects you with no ability to do anything about it, for the most part, no resources to do anything about it, no power to do anything about it, you can't think of that thing objectively, not really. But when something is okay, I can look at this thing as what it is, because regardless of the outcome, I know that I'm okay and that my future is still something worth looking forward to. If this thing goes sideways, then I can look at it as what it is. You can look at it as it is, because then you don't have a reason to be defensive or romantic about it, because you have the money to opt out. So if you imagine knowing that I can opt out and this thing can literally, I can put up a force field and this thing doesn't affect me, let me look at this thing as what it is now, knowing that I can be unaffected or unbothered by it. Because now it's not, if I make something not a threat, at least from a mental mindset and framework, if I say, let me reduce the idea that this is of no threat to me whatsoever. So now what? What are the implications of this thing? If I literally know, hey, I'm good every way, either way, I'm Gucci every way, I win anyway, it doesn't matter, then I can look at the implications of something more objectively and rationally and say, on its surface, this is this thing because I'm out of the equation. I've extracted myself from the equation. And I find that the best imaginary mental model to, because people say, well, it's like, no, you can't take yourself, you can't remove yourself from the situation. I'm like, you in your mind pretend you have enough money to do it because money can solve most things.
Yeah.
Then that's where you can mentally get to that place of saying, okay, I can be reasonable and objective about this thing because I'll just pretend that I'm so rich as to be unaffected.
Right. I'm so removed.
Yeah, I'm rich enough to I'm rich enough to extract myself from that situation. So now I can take myself out of this equation and say, oh, it doesn't matter because I'm rich. That problem is for peasants. Right. So like if you can mentally make believe, it's a good way to be able to give yourself a mental exercise to say, wait a minute. How bad is this? Or how good is this? Or is it have some good, some bad, some like, oh, what's the ups and downs? And you can get there. Again, from my perspective, you can get there if you have some way to say, oh, it doesn't affect me. So I say, imagine caring about it if you're rich, or imagine caring about it as if you're dead. Like, and go, do I really care? Like, and that's the way to take yourself out of the equation and determine what something is sometimes. Yeah.
I think that's a good note to end this episode on. Let's see.
I think so. Definitely, everybody, I would recommend that you just kind of look up some videos on prompt engineering, kind of get into it if you want to play with this AI stuff, and look into more AI tools. There's more out there than Midjourney and ChatGPT. Romina, what are some like other AI tools you've heard of that people could be playing with?
Oh my gosh, there's so many of them.
For like photo enhancement, there's this thing like Topaz AI where you can get like 8x photo enhancement.
Yeah. Well, there's Luminar. I do use that.
Yeah.
I use that every once in a while.
All the Adobe stuff has AI in it.
Yep.
Adobe Sensei.
All those are good. And I know that there's what is it called that starts with an R? The one that's for like generating videos. There's like
Runway? Is it
Yes. No. Wait.
Is
no,
it
it's not that way. It's not. Is it? Is that what it's called?
I think it is. There's Dubverse. Dubverse for dubbing in different languages with your own voice. So there's Dubverse.
Yeah, there's Runway. Yep, there's Runway.
Runway's video?
It is. Yes. Something about that. But don't. Yeah. They quote creativity tools. Yeah. And video editing, green screen, in painting.
Okay, so yeah, that is the video one, yeah.
Yeah.
Sarah Dietschy has a video on 14 AI tools creators should actually use.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Yep.
All right, that's something to check out then.
Yeah, she's one short of my number. My number is 15, so I can make 15 and just like I'll have like 4 or 5 she doesn't.
Yeah.
That way I didn't copy her video, but I'm the guy who does like 15.
Nice.
So one more.
Right on.
But there are 5 ones that won't be in her video at least. There'll be at least 5 that aren't in her video. So one more.
Nice.
There's a thing called Ava, I think, and it does AI audio. I've actually used it on my lo-fi channel, and pretty good. Mixed results on the retention, but because some of it did really well and some of it not as well, like compared to when I have composers do it. So the thing is, I still hire musicians to make I still have so much unreleased music from the people that I've hired. So I've got like maybe 30 or more tracks that I could drop, like for my lo-fi channel that people haven't heard yet. So I'm working on it. I'm lazy. I'm working on it. And then I've had AI generate like 100 songs already too. So I've got like a big library of stuff now. And that one you get to keep the copyright on. So you get to keep the copyright on the AI generated music. And Google has like an AI music tool now too. I'm looking into that. I think it's called like Google ML or something. So yeah. So that's where we can end it. Thank you for listening to the No Song Required podcast, a podcast where we talk about nothing except maybe the partnership between Skynet and the Matrix. Tune in next time. I don't know if we'll be here next week, but tune in next time for another exciting episode. This has been your duo of host signing off. Nah.